Is another presentation by My Weight World.
How the quads work. The quadriceps physiology. The goal of this presentation is to introduce you to the quadriceps femoris muscles, or the quads. We'll look at the description of the quad muscles and learn about their movement and functions. We'll explore specific movements of the quads and the other surrounding muscles that help support those movements. We'll explore the kinds of activities that cause overuse and pain of the quads. Lastly, we'll learn a good stretch to help overused quad muscles relax. The quadriceps femoris is a group of large muscles that include the four primary muscles on the front of your thigh. 3 of the 4 heads of the quadriceps attach to the front of the tibia, originating at the top of the femur. The exception is the rectus femoris, which actually crosses the hip joint originating on the pelvis. The word is literally translated from the Latin as four-headed muscle of the femur. They often are simply called the quadriceps extensor, quadriceps or quads. People also generally refer to this large muscle group in the legs as thighs, inner thigh, outer thigh, legs, and lower body. The legs' large quad muscles have a vital role as the extensors of the knee. The quads give your upper legs their shape, forming the large fleshy part of your thighs that cover the front and sides of your femur. The huge quad muscles are believed to be the strongest and leanest muscle in the human body. The function of the quadriceps as a whole is to extend or straighten the knee. The primary head of the quads, the rectus femoris, works to extend the knee, but also acts as a hip flexor because it crosses the hip joint. The quads work to straighten the joint, moving the leg away from the back of the thigh, resulting in an increase of angle. The rectus femoris also works to bending the joint, moving the top of the thigh or pelvis forward, resulting in a decrease of angle. The quadriceps have 4 separate portions of heads, which have the following distinct names: rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and vastus intermedius. All 4 heads of the quadriceps muscles attach to the kneecap via the quadriceps tendon. Rectus femoris. The rectus femoris, named for its straight course, is located in the middle of the thigh and covers most of the other 3 quadriceps muscles. Its origination point is the ilium. The vastus lateralis is the largest of 4 segments of the quads. The vastus lateralis is located on the lateral side of the femur, otherwise known as the outer side of the thigh. It originates from the top of the hip joint and the gluteus maximus muscle and connects to the shin through the patella tendon. The vastus medialis, known as the teardrop muscle, is located on the medial side of the femur, meaning it is on the inner part of the thigh. It originates from the upper hip joint and inner thigh muscles and connects to the shin through the patella tendon. The vastus intermedius is located between the vastus lateralis and the vastus medialis, on the front of the femur, meaning it is on the top or front of your thigh under the rectus femoris. It originates in the shaft of the femur and connects to the shin through the patella tendon. The primary role of the quadriceps, or front thigh muscles, is to extend the knee, this meaning they are essential to walking, running, jumping, squatting movements. Because the rectus femoris attaches to the ilium, it is the only segment of the quads that is also a hip flexor. This action is also essential to walking and running movements, because it is this muscle that allows the leg to swing forward as it moves into the next step. Quad strain and overuse. A pulled quad muscle generally results from a strength imbalance between the quads and the hamstrings. With the hamstrings being more powerful, runners frequently experience this because running tends to work the hamstrings more than the quads. To treat a pulled quad, use the RICE method. Rest, ice, compression, and elevation are the best immediate treatment for all pulls and strains. Once you can move it again, make sure to ice the muscle after exercise to reduce any swelling. After applying the ice, you may want to wrap your thigh in an ACE bandage to keep it compressed. Once you can use your leg without pain, you can begin a slow jogging program. Make sure, however, to avoid sudden accelerations and sprints. Pay attention to signs of pain or tenderness and reduce your exercise level if this occurs. You must remember to stretch your quads. Recovery typically takes 2 to 3 weeks. Prevention. The way to prevent this type of injury is to strengthen the quadricep muscles, warm up before exercising, and stretch regularly. Stretching the quads. This is a great stretch for the quads that will help relieve stress and pain caused by overuse. To perform this stretch, do the following. Stand and hold a wall or stationary object to help you balance. Grasp the top of your ankle from behind your back. Pull your ankle toward your butt and straighten your hip by moving your knee backward. Hold the stretch, repeat on the other leg. Alternatively, you may start with your hip extended and slowly pull your ankle toward your rear. With either technique, it is important that you do not allow your knee to flare outward to the side. If your lower back is sensitive to hyperextension, you should position your hip in a more neutral stance than the one pictured here. If your knee is not completely flexed, your quads will not be stretched significantly. If range of motion issues do not allow you to grasp your ankle or foot, try wrapping a towel around your foot to use as a pulley. This may help you improve your stretch. Your quads are one of the largest muscle groups in your body and are extremely important in movement and function for many athletes. They should be trained with the same intensity as your biceps or hamstrings. Training recommendations for the quadriceps include many major compound exercises, such as the squat, lunge, jump squat, and deadlift. Quad extensions, biking, and stair climbing are worthwhile exercises for runners to use as means of cross-training. You should now have a thorough understanding of the quadricep muscles. We learned that the quads contain 4 heads: the rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the vastus medialis, and the vastus intermedius. As one of the largest muscle groups in the body, their main job is to extend your knee and help you flex your hip. We've looked at the kind of activities that cause quad overuse and pain. Lastly, we learned a good stretch to help overused quad muscles relax. For specific exercises that work the quads, see the presentation, Leg Exercises.
This has been another presentation by My Weight World.